So the Last of Us series is finally out, and episode 3, got a lot of people talking because Nick Offerman plays a doomsday prepper who stays behind when all the other woke liberals are evacuated from his neighborhood, right? And he's the only one left, and he finds love, but the controversy is that the guy who he's in love with is a guy. That's right, they're gay. The Last of Us is woke. Now, of course, this created like the same kind of reaction we always see whenever there's like a gay or like queer relationship in media. It's like, oh, they're trying to force it down our throats, right? They're trying to force their lifestyle upon us. By like I didn't watch The Last of Us to see a gay couple. I came here to see zombies getting killed. But it's the zombie genre, The Last of Us especially, it's about more than just zombies getting killed, right? It's an emotional story. The Last of Us, I played The Last of Us, the first one, and it's very, you know, it's not about the action. It's about the characters, right? It's about character development. There are whole sections in like The Last of Us where like you're just like walking through the environment, right? Just sometimes there isn't even like an enemy, or like sometimes there's it's about the adventure, right? The real zombies were the friends you made along the way, right? Or sometimes the character is alone, right? And they're it's about the environment. It's about but sometimes it is about the people and how they relate to each other. So yeah, it was a very sweet uh and heartfelt episode, even though it didn't not have a lot of action in it, right? Yeah, this episode, it's sad. And of course, yeah, it had a bunch of top 10 ratings. 15 over 15,000 voted it, gave it 10 stars, but of course, the review bombs. Ooh, look at that ratio. Yeah, the homophobes really got ratioed on this one. Really, you can't get like 10,000 more fake review accounts. Worst 1 hour of my life. I love the story of The Last of Us, but this episode is 1 hour of disaster. The main story changed to a gay romance and self-killing. Well, why does it matter that it's gay, right? That's the thing, right? It shouldn't matter that they're gay. Of course, it matters to these people because they don't like gay people, right? But the story is about finding love, right? It's about like it's not even about the zombies. It's about like what happens when society collapses. What happens when there's a crisis and we feel alone. It's sort of like COVID, right? It should be relatable to COVID, right? Because Nick Offerman's character is sort of like stuck in isolation, right? In a way. And he's sort of lonely. He's got the place all to himself, right? But he's sort of like aimless. He's wandering around. He doesn't really have like a reason to live, right? But then he finds a guy that he loves, and he like builds a whole life with him, right? Oh, there's a doggy. And that's what it's really about. Look, they're just vibing. They're just chilling. And it's like, aw, yeah, they spent two nearly 2 decades together, I believe. Oh, they're growing strawberries with each other, and they're growing old together too. And they have a ring. Yeah, they're like, it's a great part of the story. It's in a way, it's like exploring the like like the reality of living in a post-apocalyptic world, right? But no. And And of course, the person who had a lot to say about this was Ben Shapiro himself. Ben Shapiro, the entire episode has no zombies, no real threat. It is about two gay dudes who meet and have a relationship in which one grows strawberries for the other, and they die by not being killed by zombies. One gets cancer and decides to essentially euthanize himself, as in commit suicide. And gay Ron Swanson decides that he is also going to commit suicide at the same time because of Romeo and Juliet, or Romeo and Romeo in this particular case. Very, very clever, Ben. Yeah. Romeo and Romeo. Yeah, you got him. Yeah. So clever. It's all really well produced and beautifully shot. However, there's a problem with Brokeback Zombie Farm. It's a zombie show. There are no zombies in this entire episode. There are no zombies in a zombie show. This is worth pointing out. It literally has nothing to do with the plot of the show. Again, like, it does have plenty to do with the plot of the show, right? Yeah, Ben does not know, like, what even the show is about. The point of the show is not about zombies, right? The point of the show is not to see zombies get frickin' domed in the head. If that was the case, you could watch, like, I don't know, High School of the Dead or something. That's an anime, and I don't think Ben watches anime, you know. But there's much more to the world of The Last of Us than just zombies, right? And also, like, you can use this criticism again for like other episodes of The Last of Us, right? In some episodes, it's conflict with other humans that drives like the conflict of the plot, right? But in other shows, like, I'm sure like there is plenty of character development. There's plenty of like moments where like it's just two people or a group of people talking to each other, right? And they're figuring the story out in another way. Yeah, this is a very juvenile take because like I sort of like felt the same way when I was like a teenager. I'm like, where are the action scenes? I'm watching the movie so I can see action scenes. I didn't watch this movie to see two people talking to each other. Talking is boring. I want to see some freaking action. I want to see some guns being fired. I want to see explosions. Come on. But like, you know, I'm an adult now, you know, and you know, the emotional stuff is more of an acquired taste, you know. And The Last of Us is a very mature show. It was a very mature video game. Even the video game, the action was limited, right? The action was very realistic too. Like, you had limited ammo. You had to conserve your ammunition. You had to be very tactical with your actions. You had to be, you know, you had to be really careful. You had to choose wisely between being stealthy and being aggressive, right? And of course, like, there are plenty of other zombie shows in which some episodes do not have zombies in them. Like, The Walking Dead, for example. There are plenty of episodes of The Walking Dead that have zero zombies in them. When they're just chilling out in the farm, or like in the prison, or in Alexandria, or whatever, right? There's plenty of episodes that have literally no zombies in it. Some episodes of The Last of Us, or I mean, The Walking Dead, they don't have even like human conflict. It's just like, yeah, character development. They're just like chilling in Alexandria, just like talking to each other, thinking about like, hey, it's really fucked up that we live in a zombie apocalypse, right? Yeah, it is. I miss my family. Yeah, I miss TV. You know, etc. The point of a zombie show is not about, right? Is not about like killing zombies. It's about like exploring what it would be like for like society to collapse, right? And in the post-COVID era that The Last of Us was made in, the story of you know, the Last of Us episode 3 is relatable, right? Because like, you know, Nick Offerman is finding, you know, is rediscovering what it means to be alive, right? The reason that he decides to commit suicide is not because like the writers of The Last of Us were copying Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, why does he represent? Why does he talk about like Romeo and Juliet here? It's clearly like the Nick Offerman's character finally like rediscovered a reason to live again, right? He rediscovered like the beauty in life, right? And then like the whole point of the plot is that like we live for other people. We don't live for ourselves, right? We like, it is about the value of human connection and the importance of like finding that kind of connection and love and you know, living for other people. And the point of the show is like that it's and it's Nick's character's reason for even being alive. So Ben Shapiro references Romeo and Juliet and Brokeback Mountain because you know, Brokeback Mountain also has two very masculine gay dudes in it. And of course, gay Ron Swanson is a reference to, you know, Nick Offerman's other character from the, you know, Parks and Rec. That's 3 references to popular culture right there, right? This is a thing I've noticed is like, conservatives cannot understand anything without like trying to relate it to something else that happened, something else in culture, right? So they can't like, they're very lacking in creativity and like they cannot produce original thoughts, right? So they have to, if they want to understand something, they have to like, they're like, oh, that's America, that's like the Roman Empire, right? Or, you know, the vaccine tyranny, the mask wearing, oh, that's literally like the Soviet Union and or Nazi Germany, right? It's literally 1984, right? Yeah, they can't understand like, they can't understand how things are different, right? Anyways, we'll get into the right-wing lack of creativity later. However, it's well produced and it's beautifully shot. Yeah, Ben Shapiro still has to, you know, say that it's beautifully shot because he's a appreciator. He's an art appreciator, right? Yeah, Ben Shapiro is a failed screenwriter, apparently. Yeah, he wants to be like, he wants to be a writer, but he failed at being a writer. So instead, of course, he became a right-wing media figure, right? Funnily enough, this right here is a perfect example of why Ben Shapiro could not cut it in the industry, right? Because, you know, if you have like a 14-year-old's understanding of like the themes of a series and like screenwriting, then like you can't write a good show, right? If Ben Shapiro wrote a zombie show, it would just be like constantly like action scenes, right? There wouldn't be any depth. There would be no emotion. There would be no feeling, right? And again, like if you want zombie killing action, then watch like High School of the Dead, or watch that watch that Korean movie or that Korean series where it's like the high school that gets taken over by zombies. That has a lot of zombie action in it. Or Train to Busan, right? That's another Korean zombie flick. That was like pretty non-stop action, right? And yeah, sure, it had some like emotional depth to it. It had some like some, you know, sad moments, but it's like mostly zombie action. Like if you want that, you can go see that. But, you know, The Last of Us, you know, it's art. It's Kino, okay? You can't cut it with just action. Of course, this is a perfect example of, yeah, why Ben Shapiro couldn't cut it in the industry. Why apparently he did write some Daily Wire movies. The Daily Wire made its own movies, and if you're surprised that you're hearing about this, well, the reason you haven't heard about the Daily Wire movies is because they are awful. They are terrible. And we see so here's the box office history for the Daily Wire movie. And the most recent movie was Terror on the Prairie, which was Gina Carano's comeback movie, right? She was canceled and kicked off The Mandalorian for saying some stupid shit, tweeting some stupid shit. And this was her comeback movie. This was she was a Wild West bounty hunter, or she was a gunslinger. And worldwide box office, $804. Not even breaking 1,000. That's just sad. That's like... It shouldn't be possible for a movie to bomb that hard, but it did. Apparently this is one Ben Shapiro like co-wrote or something. And Run, Hide, Fight, that's the story of like a school shooter, or like some like a young girl who's really into hunting, like some Katniss Everdeen character, but like the Wish.com version of that. And she like stops a school shooting by like Antifa kids. And of course the story has no depth. Like they don't go into like why the school shooters are doing the school shooting. They're just doing it because they're like angry or edgy, right? They're Joker pilled. And Shut In. I've never heard of Shut In. Wow, look at this. Rank 11,801 out of 11,900. Okay, so it's not the worst one, I guess, and then 16,801 out of 16,900. Okay, yeah. So, well, it was released in Russia and South Korea and Mexico. So, I mean, that's something, right? It did break 500,000, so they got it there. Of course, they also did What is a Woman, which did well, but because like it was Matt Walsh, you know, doing the standard anti-trans talking points, asking what is a woman, asking people what is a woman, but never like saying himself what is a woman, because he can't define woman either. But he's asking people to define woman as if that's a gotcha question, right? So Shut In lacks the visceral thrills of some invasion films, but it more than compensates with a heart-tugging redemption arc and the return of an election star. Okay, so 60% of Rotten Tomatoes, 5.8 out of 10. Single mother has to do everything she can to protect her two small children after she is held captive by her violent ex. Okay, so hey, this is pro-woman at least. At least it's the violent ex-husband who's the bad guy here. I bet that got some men's rights activists very mad, right? So, yeah, executive producers Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring. That's the head of the Daily Wire. He's is very boring indeed. So Shut In, I guess, is like you know, they've got to. It's about family, right? It's all about family, and they're doing it to. They gotta protect the family. Of course, family values is the best, like the biggest virtue signal, right, of the right wing. They at least pretend to care about family values, right? So that's that means Shut In is a very that's on track for being a Daily Wire show, right? A Daily Wire movie, right? Is it a horror movie? It's a solid home invasion horror film. Okay. And it's faith. Seamlessly integrates faith with its claustrophobic thrills. Okay, so from what it seems like it's a decent movie, right? Well, yeah, what is the redemption arc? Is it the violent X? Probably not. Anyways. So yeah, the show is literally called The Last of Us. The Last of Sus. The humans, survivors, surviving is literally the point of the show. Right? Yeah, in the Last of Us video game, and I heard that the show follows the video game pretty closely, right? In the video game, the zombies are like not a very big plot point in the show. If anything, the zombies are just like an obstacle that has to be overcome to, you know, to get to the objective, right? To like, they're just a thing that has to be gotten through. The point of the show is not like overcoming the zombies. It's like, you know, I mean, I guess it's like trying to find a cure for the zombie infection, right? But the arcs of the characters, it's about like Joel Oh, and again, that's a good point. Joel has to like rediscover what it means to be a father. Joel, the main character in the video game and the series, they sort of like lose everything. They lose their, spoiler alert, they lose their biological daughter at the beginning, and then the co-star Ellie sort of like becomes their adopted daughter, right? And Joel like rediscovers like the value of human connection. So that's a good point. Yeah, so that's another way that that the plot of episode 3 relates to the overarching plot of the rest of the series, right? Because another spoiler alert, Joel like does a lot of bad shit at the ends of The Last of Us Part 1 to save Ellie, right? He values Ellie's life basically like over the lives of literally everyone else, right? Because like Ellie has to be killed in order to extract the zombie vaccine from her, right? And so he's like, fuck that, I don't care if it's gonna cure the world. I would rather have Ellie alive. Yeah, so Ben Shapiro couldn't grasp what a plot twist was in The Glass Onion. He was like, what's going on here? There's one thing happening, and then they changed up the whole plot of The Glass Onion. It totally ruins the enjoyment, right? Yeah, so this apparently the Nick Offerman character is based on a character from the game. Of course the whole like gay relationship, the whole 20-year relationship was not in the game, but it was heavily alluded to. Oh, Frank and Bill, right. They were partners in the game. Yeah, Frank was a character in the game, so yeah, he's like a kind of like a very paranoid prepper type, right? Who is kind of like a loner, right? And he sort of like has his own neighborhood that he sections off and he lays traps around. And he does like have a partner. Yeah, I think it's Frank, and it's Bill who's the partner, right? Yeah, so this is just simply expanding on their canon, and it's great. I love it, right? It's expanding on the story in like a very positive way. Oh, that's a good point. Apparently there's an electrified fence that keeps the zombies at bay. So that's part of the plot too. That's another reason, yeah, there's no zombies in the episode, because Frank is such a good prepper that he sections off a whole neighborhood and has it all to himself. He's got the electrified fence, he sets up barricades, he's got traps set everywhere. I do remember that part of the video game. It's a cool part. You gotta find your way through the traps. Oh my god, I remember when you get caught in one of those traps that catches you by the leg and hangs you upside down, and then you have to shoot zombies while you're being hung upside down. That was a cool part. I did like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's the story is about like in an apocalypse or like in a apocalyptic like event like a pandemic. You gotta build your own like little world in which you are safe in, a safe space, if you will, right? A safe space from the woke zombies, the zombie mob, right? And then like what do you do after that? What do you do once the zombies aren't a threat, right? Or once you've managed to build your own little fortress in which you are allowed to live more or less freely, right? Because that's another part of the story, like Boston, the city of Boston, part of it is like controlled by the military, and it's a very like authoritarian, like kind of fascist uh place where like the military controls everything. It controls free speech. It's literally 1984, right? And then there are the bangs of the roving bandits who live outside of the military zone. And then of course there are the terrorist fireflies, the based fireflies. Right? Like, so much of The Last of Us is not about the zombies. It's about the human factions, right? Even in The Walking Dead, like, the zombies were like a minor plot point. How many episodes were like... There were some episodes where like there was a huge zombie horde bearing down on them, and they have to like... They have to escape. They have to, you know... Right? Like in The Walking Dead, the zombies were like the focus of the series for like the first few seasons. But then, like... Then after they become safe, relatively safe from the zombies, then it's like conflicts between the human factions, right? There's the good and the bad, evil human factions, right? If anything, like, they use zombies against each other, right? They like lead zombies to them. They break down the walls of Alexandria to let the zombies in, right? Or they drive a truck full of zombies into it. Yeah. So, and The Last of Us forgoes that beginning stage entirely, right? It skips past the rebuilding society, or like trying to it skips past the stage where it's like you're just trying to survive the zombie apocalypse, and it does like a 12-year or like a 14-year or whatever time skip, or 20 years to like to the aftermath, where it's like the humans figuring out how to live in this new world, right? And like, I think it's a pretty well established trope of like the zombie genre, where it's like, you know, the real monsters aren't zombies, the real monsters are human beings, because the breakdown of society allowed human beings to unleash their most violent and dark urges upon each other, right? It's a pretty common trope. And then, yeah. And then Ben Shapiro doesn't understand that. So... Here are some comments, right-wing comments. This entire episode was some writer expressing his dream of outing a right-winger type. It was cringeworthy. And they got married. Why? There weren't any Christians or mock or tax benefits. You can't just make equality... Okay, so this is something. It's like, why get married if you're... Why would you have a gay marriage if there are no tax benefits and no Christians to make fun of? Like, that's the only reasons you would get married? Like, what about love? Oh, of course, Ben Shapiro does not understand anything about love because, you know, he was a virgin before marriage, and then he met his doctor wife, and then he clearly does not... who knows if he actually likes his wife? We do know that he doesn't like having sex with his wife, right? He sees sex as a chore because he's an asexual king, right? But Ben Shapiro is proud of the fact that, like, he was a virgin until marriage. Yeah, for him, for Ben Shapiro, marriage is not about love, right? It's about making children. It's about doing the thing that you're supposed to do, which is get married and have kids, right? That's why conservatives get married, not because they actually love each other, but because marriage is what you're supposed to do. Having kids is what you're supposed to do, right? Apparently, yeah, this guy doesn't understand why someone would get married if they can't have kids. Like, what's the point of gay marriage if you can't... that gay people can't have kids with each other, right? Yeah. Don't worry, no one's going to out you. Yeah, you can live your own interesting life, and we'll just sit here watching the good storytelling that people with your intellectual range can't really appreciate. Yeah, expressing a dream of outing a right-winger type. Yeah, the delusion. This is the actual delusion that everything they don't like is political. Almost like gay people marry because they want to and they love each other, right? Unironically, like, it's these people who are, like, injecting politics into this. Like, in an ideal world, gay relationships shouldn't be political, right? It's them who is politicizing it. It's conservatives who get offended when they see gay shit in shows, right? Like, gay people don't get offended when they see a straight couple. I mean, I'd imagine they don't. I'm pretty sure they don't, right? Yeah, sounds like you don't want to be outed, dude. Yeah, it's as if, like, gay people only get married, like, to troll conservatives, right? I guess that makes sense, because, like, it seems like conservatives' whole point in living is, like, to trigger the libs, right? Like, they're very deeply unhappy and unsatisfied people who don't have, like, real lives, so they dedicate their entire lives to, like, owning the libs. Or it's clearly, like, they clearly don't have anything going for them, so they can't understand why someone would do, like, something, like, out of love, right? This gay episode was in your face. Yeah, this episode was gay as hell. Better be woke and like it, or you suffer from homophobia. 90% of the greater population, or greater of the population, is queer. How about a real guy and gal as characters for the genuine public? Yeah. Well, the point is that, like, it shouldn't matter if they're gay, right? It's not about, like, it's not as if, like, you can't relate to these characters because they're gay and you're not. It isn't about sexuality, it's about humanity and how much we need to care about someone for our survival. Pretend one of them was a woman and see if you have any feelings. Yeah, just pretend the other guy was a woman. Pretend Bill is a woman, and, like, nothing would change, right? It's a very, like, deeply heartfelt story about love and, like, discovering the importance of love. Yeah, just, like, deepfake this guy into a woman and, like, keep all the same dialogue, all the same scenes, just, like, make him have long hair and tits. And, then, like, I guess that would be what these people want. This you. Yeah, is this you, dude? Go put your flabby ass stomach away, dude. No one wants to see that for sure, yeah. Yeah, at least these guys are hot, right? Get owns. Oh, this is a while ago, though. Yeah, you anti-woke people are the most pathetic swine to ever grace this app. How can anyone love you when their personality is volatile, so hateful, and utterly pitiful? Bill was gay in the game, too. Joel was heterosexual, and it was implied that he had at least some type of close relationship with Tess. So the show has already shown both, yeah. Yeah. There are plenty of, like, heterosexual relationships. Oh, there is one homosexual relationship. Well, once that comes out, I'm sure they... Ooh, Ellie and Sam, already trending. I'm sure they're going to be very upset about that. Right? Yeah, so these people who are complaining about being anti-woke, they are deeply unhappy people themselves, right? So... It's clear that they don't if they knew what it meant to fall in love and, like, be in love and, like, live for other people, then they would understand, like, the point of this episode. The point of the episode is not about them being gay. The man loving another man is, like, not relevant in this. It's not about them being gay. It's about them being in love. That's the point, right? It's not woke. Yeah, I wonder if these people even saw the show, right? Who knows? Anyways, yeah.